if you take care of this car, it's immortal. It'll run forever, just like a family. I'm like, nope, that's not how.
Not how cars work.
It's not how cars or families work.
Welcome to the What's Our Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-host, Javier Ortiz.
What is up, my nerds?
And Ian Anderson.
Some shit.
We appreciate your help growing the podcast. Go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button. Tell a friend about us. Go check out our website, whatsourverdict.com, where you can listen to all of our episodes, sign up for our newsletter to get exclusive content and updates, pick up some merch, interact with us, and listen to our What's Our Verdict TV podcast episodes as well. Question we always ask is, if you ever find yourself wondering if you should spend the time, money, or both on a movie, to help with that question, each week we put a movie on trial, discuss the facts, pass judgment, and let you know our verdict. Today we're reviewing F9 in the Fast Saga. It was released June 25th, 2021. It was written by Daniel Casey and Justin Lin. It's directed by Justin Lin. It stars Vin Diesel, John Cena, Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Natalie Emmanuel, Sung Kang, and Charlize Theron. The family drama continues as Dom's younger brother and rogue agent Jacob attempts to steal a powerful and hidden piece of tech. If you haven't seen this movie and you're going to brave and go see it, and you want to avoid spoilers, now's the time to pause this podcast, go check out the movie, or go check out our spoiler-free review on YouTube on our channel, What's Our Verdict, where you can hear whether or not we think you should go watch this movie at all.
Don't do it.
And don't do it. So if you've gotten to this point, but you are...
And then listen to us try to convince you not to go watch this movie.
Yeah, exactly. And tell you why this movie... We can just explain this movie in this deep dive, and you'll understand. Yeah, it'd probably be more entertaining than this movie ever will be. But yeah.
If you've seen any Fast and Furious movie, combine that with any Mission Impossible movie and downgrade it by about 150%.
Yeah.
And you've got F9.
That's fair. But if you are trying to avoid spoilers, go check it out, pick up where you left off, because we're getting ready to spoil this thing in every way possible and hopefully ruin it for anyone and help you avoid it.
It spoils itself, man.
I finally get social justice warriors because this is socially irresponsible. This movie is a crime against humanity.
Guys, this movie's terrible. And it starts out terrible because you get this flashback of Dom. And I'm like, that's not the same. He's a different race.
It's like a freaking Puerto Rican dude playing young Dom. What?
Yeah, it's like whoever decided to cast the younger versions of these two brothers have never met the two characters that they were meant to play younger versions of.
You know what's funny is I thought Dom's younger version was way better than Vin Diesel. Like, I liked that character better.
I liked it as long as he wasn't trying to like get that deep gravelly voice that Vin Diesel has, because whenever he was trying to talk all deep, I'm like, ooh, you can tell he's working really hard to sound like Vin Diesel right now.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys have to say about them not looking like the characters, they did get the haircuts right.
That makes me so angry. Because Vin Diesel's haircut is just no hair.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, and then you've got, of course, John Cena's with the white boy curl in the front that goes up a little too high.
The little 80s curl.
Yeah. Too perfect. Well, and he was like surprisingly scrawny as a child. And by a child, I mean like 17 or 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, these are full-grown men that you're trying to convince me are how old? Like, I don't even know.
They never say. Well,
you should look more or less how you're going to look at 16, right? Like,
and here's my biggest issue with this whole thing. Like, if you're going to do this, you spent millions of dollars on this movie, okay? The explosions, the CGI cars, the jets, the drones, every ridiculous thing, the magnets, the amount of money you spent, fuck it, go all in and just de-age these two characters. We've seen that you can do it. You can do it pretty well. Why not de-age these two guys instead of hiring people that don't look like them, don't sound like them, and never will either way? Okay,
I'm sorry. I just Googled who played young Dom. Yeah. Can I share with you the single most upsetting thing about this movie right now?
Sure.
He's played by Vinny Bennett. Guess where Vinny Bennett is from, or just his ethnicity. Just if you had to guess.
Dominican.
He is not Latino. He is fucking New Zealand. He's a New Zealander, New Zealandite. He is.
He's a Kiwi.
He's Maori, Caucasian with European and Native American heritage. They couldn't find a single fucking Mexican to play. No, I was wondering why this dude never spoke Spanish in this goddamn movie, because he probably fucking can't speak Spanish because he's not Latino.
Wow.
Oh my God. What?
Wow.
Oh, okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you, JJ. I was just Googling this guy because I'm like,
no, it's okay. I get it. Yeah.
You know who also isn't Latino? Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Yeah. They don't even like, he's pure and unadulterated mutt to the point that they don't even like give him an ethnicity. They say he is of ambiguous ethnicity.
Yeah, we all are dipshit. I know.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, my mom's like Italian or whatever, and I don't know my dad.
Well,
like,
apparently his mom's English, German, and Scottish.
You're a multimillionaire, dude. Run one of those fucking DNA tests, you fucking moron.
Oh, God. The way I pictured this episode going.
No, it kind of went weird real quick.
Sorry. Okay, let's get back on track about the movie and less about how, in the past few months, the Latin community has been absolutely shat on by this movie and by Lin-Manuel Miranda's bullshit In the Heights movie. But it's cool. It's fine.
It's all right. We've got even more for Javier to be upset about when we get to the part of it in Japan.
Well, just so you're aware, just a side note, because we did shit on In the Heights so much. That was his first play that he wrote, not Hamilton. Hamilton came after In the Heights. In the Heights was the movie that you were talking about. He wrote so that he could star in it, and he played the lead on Broadway on In the Heights.
He's insufferable as a human being. And In the Heights should not be a first play. It should be the first draft of a pretend play that you shred so that no public eye can ever see it again. That's what that play should have been.
That's funny. This movie was rough, though.
It's so rough, I'm avoiding talking about it.
I know. I don't even know what to say because it actually makes me upset.
Here's the thing that I'm running into. I can't remember this movie because it's not like a flowing movie that like one scene flows into the next. It is like they loaded up all the scenes into a shotgun and just like pulled the trigger. It's just like fragmented movie. Like all sorts of stuff is happening, but I don't know why we're doing certain things.
So here, let me help you out because this movie starts in this backwoods cabin in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Right.
With Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez and little Brian, right?
With a shotgun with no buttstock. He's got one of those stupid, like...
Yeah, the bent barrel.
He's got like the pistol barrel.
Yeah.
Idiot.
So here's the thing. Let's rewind a little bit and think about the last 8 movies. Yes, you've made some enemies, okay? But most of the enemies that you've made have become part of your quote-unquote family as you've moved forward.
Also, when did this stupid family thing start? We're like 5 movies in, and we haven't once mentioned this idea that we're all one big happy family.
Actually, that's not true. That's from Jump. That's like the first movie on. It always talks about family. Yeah. That's like the center of every single Fast and
Maybe
Furious
it just didn't get annoying until movie 5.
Maybe. But that's my thing. Like, okay, they've been given, I think it was in movie 6 or 7, they were all given pardons to come back to the country. Because in like 5 or 6, they were living in all over the place. Like they were all spread out and living out in non-extradition countries because they were all wanted for all the multiple heinous crimes that they committed as a family. Now but again, so you have both of the Shaw brothers are part of your enemies, right? They're now part of your crew. Okay, that help you throughout. You've got Hobbs, who was an enemy in 5. He's now part of your crew. Who are you hiding from besides Cipher, who at that moment they thought was captured with Mr. Nobody?
And she already killed your wife, so like,
what are you hiding from? Like, I guess so we see that they're in hiding, and that's like the crux of this whole story is Letty can't handle being in hiding because she wants to go out and blow shit up, I guess. Because
I mean, honestly, that was on brand for Letty, right?
Fair, like, sure. But I'm just like, I don't know. Like the whole start of this movie drove me crazy because it's like, look, why hide when you've got the backing of whoever Mr. Nobody used to work for and you've gotten your pardon? I just don't understand the whole, like, it was unbelievable to me that Dom goes into hiding because he's got a kid. It just drove me crazy.
I don't remember how the last movie ended, but it also was a little unbelievable to me that Letty decided to settle down in the first place, right? Like, Letty's character, normally one of my favorite parts of Fast and Furious, was underwhelming this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so from there, Vin Diesel has a kid, right? And he's like,
Yes.
I'm not going to abandon my kid to go work for some dude that I'm not on call for anymore. I have no responsibility to this guy or to hunt this person anymore. I have a child. I'm like, that's very responsible of him. And then literally the next scene, he drives up to the plane, bails on his 2-year-old. He's just like, fuck you, kid. And then we never bring up the kid again until near the end of the movie.
Well, it comes up in the middle because he's talking to his sister, Mia, who I hate.
That's right.
Like, there were better movies when she was just staying on the beach with Brian, because who can't be in the movie anymore?
Because he's dead.
Because
right?
Rip Paul Walker, but
yeah, got it. But he is in the movie.
Well, his car's in the movie anyway. So Brian, anyway, so he drops him off with Brian, and it's like this. I'm just like, and I told Casey this last night. I was like, just let this shit go. Look, it's sad that Paul Walker passed away. Like, it's sad. It's terrible. Like I said, Rip. But you keep bringing him in, and I'm okay that you left your son with his namesake on the beach with their kids, apparently, but just leave it at that. Like, stop bringing this shit up. Like,
wait, was that part of the movie? They left him with Paul Walker's character?
Yeah, they left him with Brian. He was the glorified babysitter.
Oh,
that's what this whole conversation between Mia and
yeah, I didn't get that. I forgot how they wrote out Paul Walker, that he just retired. He just walked away.
Yeah, he and Mia left. So Mia was pregnant. I think it was in 6 or 7. Like, he passed away right before they started filming. So his 2 brothers filled in, played his part, and they did the cool CGI that made it. I mean, it looked just like him through most of that movie, even though he wasn't involved. And then they had, at the end, Vin Diesel's character, Dom, and him like race one last time, and they kind of go separate ways on a forked road. And Brian goes off with Mia to raise their kid, and then Vin Diesel goes and raises more hell and blows.
Why would it make
up.
sense that either one of them, Mia or Brian, are in this movie? Right? Because if I'm going to have one of them, I'm going to have the guy who is a professional race car driver.
Well, but Mia's the sister. That's why that's how they justified it, is because now it's about Mia's brother, another of Mia's brothers, which is how the justification. I'm leaving Brian here. He's not involved, but this is my brother, so I have to go be involved.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was funny because they didn't show her like involved with the family in any of the flashbacks.
Right.
I forgot about her, honestly, until she showed back up, and I was like, oh, that's right, they do have a sister. So I thought that was weird that they didn't bring her into the flashbacks, but they're willing to bring her back into the movie. So,
well, and she probably would have been the easiest to hire a younger version of. Anyway, yeah, it just was really odd. But then, this whole thing goes off. And then the fucking insanity begins. Like, they go to some jungle to rescue Mr. Nobody's plane because it's going down. They had Cipher on this plane. And
I've been holding on to this question. I wanted to ask you last night, but Jacob's crew, whoever they are, they have the capability to hijack a plane midair and like take whatever they wanted. And they crashed this plane. They were obviously trying to like cut into it to get this, what was the thing called? Ares. Half of the Ares, right? They can't get into it and the plane crashes. But then Ramsey comes up, takes 30 seconds and pops it open. I was just like, stuff like that is riddled through the movie where there's no reasoning behind what happens at all.
She's the techie,
She's the super hacker.
Yeah, she's a hacker.
Jeez.
Well, so here's and Javier, you kind of touched on this in the well, and Ian too. You both mentioned it in the spoiler free, and that is the one thing that they do. And I told Casey, and I told you guys last night that there was a part that I was like, okay, there was a fan theory years ago about the universe we're working in right now, right? So the Fast and Furious universe
with action figures and Hot Wheels.
No, that it was a video game. That it's a video game. So, a little more high-tech version of the action figure thing. But there was that theory that this is all part of a video game. And then they kind of tried to very poorly play into speculation of that with this whole Roman Tyrese's character thing. Like, you see him, he climbs out of his truck right next to a landmine. It falls. It looks like it crushes him, which led to the second best line in this movie of the idiot teenager in front of us saying, oh, he's fucked. that shit was funny.
Those
I
teenagers.
can't believe you encouraged that.
Yeah, that shit. I couldn't help myself because it was so on
Dude,
point.
I
It
didn't
looked
tell
like
you
he got
guys.
crushed. The kid goes, he's fucked.
When I was leaving, these kids were playing in the parking lot, right? These teenage kids.
Yeah.
And they were like jumping in front of cars and stuff. Like they were just like harassing people driving away. When I was driving out, they were in the middle of the road and they did that stupid thing where they act like two of them are pulling a rope across and they're like in the road. And so I just jerk my steering wheel and drive towards one, right? And I am probably 10 feet away, maybe less. And you see just the horror in this kid's eyes. And he like starts running onto the sidewalk. And then as I turn back onto the road, he's like, hey, fuck you. I was like, I'm not the one who is a little bitch.
Oh, God. So annoying.
Amazing.
Anyway. So, yeah, they kind of intimated that this is all fake because he's like, and at first I was like, are they really going here? Because you see Roman sitting in the bottom of this room. He's got enemies that are in an elevated position. There's like a dozen of them and they're shooting at him. And I'm like, none of them missed that much. Like, Jesus.
No, it was worse. He has a smoldering Kevlar vest.
Yeah.
Right. So he was hit multiple times in the vest. I'm like, okay. These guys have rifles, right? They're shooting rifle-sized rounds. You don't just take those standing.
They're AK-47s from less than 12 feet away.
Yeah, like
you're on when he's got holes in his shirt where he didn't have vest, right? In his arms, and there's no bullet holes. And that's what leads him to say we're invincible. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, they're leaning into this video game thing. But if you're gonna do that, lean all the fucking way in, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
don't
I mean, they launched him into space, so I feel like they leaned into it pretty well.
That's fair. But I mean, show it, because at that point I'm going to go, I've just forgiven all of the ridiculous shit in this movie.
What would you want to see, JJ? Like a health bar above their head just for a split second?
That'd be funny as fuck. Or like at
little
the end of it,
experience indicators.
A little.
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, every time they get a kill or like land on a car and not get hurt, it like jumps their experience points up.
There's like a billboard in the back that says like mission complete. Like whenever they hit checkpoints,
something like that.
Go into the garage and like their cars spinning around and add mods to it and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it would explain.
They glitch out. They walk through a door and they glitch out and then face plant into the door. Exactly.
Well, it would explain so many things. I mean, the fact that he always has this fucking Dodge Charger. How the fuck do they get it to all these places? Do they just have like a car carrier on
Dude,
call?
He's got to have crazy import expenses.
Yeah, or does he have like one stashed in every fucking country across the world? The next piece is how do you retrofit 5 cars with fucking electromagnets in less than an hour?
Yeah, for a piece of technology that they have never seen and didn't know even existed, they sure figured out how to use it and weaponize it pretty quickly in a way that it wasn't initially intended for as well. So they have it the attract things and then repulse things.
Yeah, they can just all of a sudden switch the polarization of this magnet.
Yeah, that was just that was never used until we get them into these cars.
Well, and not to mention, let's just talk about the fact that the electromagnets were shown initially as a way to fry electronics, which is not how that works.
Even if it was, right? Like even if it was, it would be irreparable damage. Right. Like if you're trying to sell to me that there are massive, big ass magnets that there are just pulling cars through buildings, I mean, your laptop would never work again.
I feel like it would pull the engine block and just kill everybody in the car.
Oh, yeah. I never thought.
Yeah,
why wouldn't it rip apart the car that is?
Yeah, you have a magnet that's sucking cars through buildings, but the metal that is encasing the frame of that car is just fine.
Yeah, it doesn't turn this thing into a Pepsi can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like that it can pick and choose, right? Like it's either pulling a car through a building and not touching anything in the building or in between, or it's only pulling washers and dryers and filing cabinets out of buildings.
Which just happened to fly around every human being in the store that they come flying out of. Like that was the first time my hands went up, was when you watched washers and dryers go fly by like 7 people and nobody gets hit by anything, to the point that they stand up and look out the window. Like my hands went up in the air. I'm like, what?
Dude, besides like property damage, there was no collateral damage in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there were several scenes where these dudes are in tricked out like armored Humvees just unloading onto what city were they in? Like LA or wherever? Like, I don't
No clue.
Some unspecified city. Pedestrians everywhere. Not a single one gets hit by a bullet or gets run over.
Well, not to mention, you have the hacker who's never driven a car driving a box truck that they show is a manual transmission that doesn't have a clutch.
Oh, yeah, it's only got 2 pedals. What the fuck was that?
It doesn't have a clutch. And she's hitting everything in her way. Not a single cop.
Also, we've all learned how to drive before. I didn't pull out of my family's driveway and immediately smash into the neighbor's car.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have the general concept of what it is to drive.
She hit everything.
I think Ian made a good point. Once everyone's in the truck, Vin Diesel's time to get into the truck. He's like, why is she still driving?
Yeah.
You've literally got a car full of professional drivers.
Yeah. Not to mention, how is that box truck keeping up with the Jaguar?
With the S-Type or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
That's blowing at full speed, and they're driving next to it on a road across the building, and they're looking at it as they're keeping pace with him driving. I'm like,
seriously,
no.
is that a standard Amazon delivery truck, or like did you have to get that turbo fitted? Like that's either a really shitty Jag or a really nice box truck.
It's the magnets in the back are propelling it faster.
There you go.
There it is.
That's what it is.
Pushing off of everything.
Yeah. And then they just suck that other car. Well, and then it keeps up too with John Cena, who is a racer's son, brother to Dom Toretto, apparently the greatest driver ever known to man. And they kept up with him in a fancy sports car. I don't even know what car that was, that red one that they sucked through the building into the truck, that it just kind of knocks over like off of its 2 wheels once. And then they just drive away. Like, I was like, oh my God.
I will say this. The one thing that I enjoyed about this movie was the cars, right?
Sure.
Like, I love a good Dodge Challenger.
Ooh,
and he had
black.
Yeah, he had 2. He had like a 1970. Well, he had his classic like 1969 or whatever in his garage that he never brought out, right? Because he only brought out that other one, the like 1970s one. But then he had this like dope, like really cool futuristic looking one. I was trying to look up.
That's been in like the last 4 movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That car's been in like the last 4 movies. That's the one that he like was getting in the last one in Fate of the Furious. He was getting chased by the heat-seeking missile that Cipher shot out at him. That he then drove like tricked to fly into the submarine that they destroyed.
Oh, right. Through under the ice. That one.
They bring up like 6 cars to make a circle around Dom, who's out in the open, and the flames don't touch him.
What a terrible movie.
Which was still more entertaining than this pile of garbage we watched last night.
Yeah. Oh, and the Charger that he had in like that Guatemalan forest, that was cool because that was a Hellcat.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to have a Hellcat. Like there's a video of a Challenger Hellcat outrunning a police chopper.
Wow.
You could like YouTube it. It's hilarious.
Wow.
Those things are crazy. Anyway, that's the one good thing I have to say about this movie. The cars are still pretty cool.
Oh, for sure. But let's not forget about, the whole plane that magnetizes a car and catches it in midair.
Did the writers like just discover magnets? Like,
apparently.
What is with all the magnetism stuff? Did they like?
Well, and then you have Dom, who you see in the trailer where he drives into a broken bridge, which let's back up for a second. You have Tej and Roman driving on this bridge up a wooden bridge as it's collapsing.
Falling? Oh my God.
Oh my.
That was like, hold on.
What?
That's not how that works.
Never take a Jeep like that. Jeeps aren't reliable, dude. Yeah. Come on.
They would have rolled that 19 times.
Or an FJ Cruiser.
That's what I'm saying. Take a Raptor, take a Tacoma, yeah.
Something. But then you lock, so Dom uses his little Mustang to lock in the metal of this bridge and swing it. I'm like, what are your freaking axles made of, dude? Like adamantium? Are we X-Men now? And you got Wolverine's metal axles that don't snap when the car catches? Come on.
Also, how fortuitous was it that he didn't just smash into the side of a cliff and then fall?
And then the other part of that is so earlier in that sequence, they're driving through a minefield. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
The
And they're like,
mines.
how fast do we need to go? And he's like, I don't know. Quick maths off the top of my head, 80 miles an hour. And, and we're like, okay, 80 miles an hour. They're not going 80 miles an hour.
No, not through that brush. Not to mention, you're getting hit
uphill through brush.
Yeah, no shit. You see that these landmines are going off on these cars. Like they're getting hit by these mines, right? And it's doing a decent amount. I mean, it's throwing the cars around. There's some damage coming to the tank that Roman's in, whatnot.
And that's the only car that takes damage. Is the armored tank, the BRT or whatever it is.
Sure. But then on top of that, later on, they get through the minefield and you have helicopters, military helicopters firing Sidewinder missiles at these cars. The landmines were doing more damage than the goddamn Sidewinder missiles landing between cars.
Yes, because when they had the Charger and the Mustang like smashing into each other, one lands right between them. Does nothing.
Nothing happens.
And they are hitting each other. They space like 2 feet away. Missile lands, nothing happens, and then they go back to ramming each other.
Yeah, and the Sidewinder or the landmines are knocking these cars in the air. Missile, nothing. Just some dirt flies up around. I'm like, what the fuck are we watching? Like we're 10 minutes in, and I'm going, this is the worst that they've ever done.
And even better is when they swing across the bridge, the helicopters are still behind them, and they just decide to turn around and go home.
Oh, it's a different country.
Different country.
I kind of got that. You can't fly military stuff. I feel like you shouldn't fly it that close.
But, it's all right, because you could just fly behind and lob a missile or two, right?
But they won't invade that other airspace.
Yeah.
Rules of engagement and all.
Yeah, I mean, we got rules in this movie, Ian. They're not animals.
They'll drive through a minefield after them, but they won't touch that border.
Yep. Won't cross that rickety bridge is the only thing keeping them. Can't do it.
All right,
also, if I'm the other country, I'd be like, what the fuck, guys? You broke our bridge.
Yeah.
You're going to fix this, right?
If that's what the country uses as a bridge, though, I don't think they're monitoring their airspace.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about the retribution of that.
Right.
They clearly haven't discovered metal yet. So.
Or magnets.
Or magnets.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, then we find out, of course, that this is Dom's brother, who in some weird convoluted storyline killed their father by helping him fix a race.
How would losing that race help pay off debts?
Well, I mean, you fix a race. It's just like you fix a basketball game. So you guarantee that you're going to lose, and then people bet on you losing or this other guy winning. They make a bunch of money. You get a cut of it for fixing. It's like a boxing match. You take a dive so that the other person wins, and then you get a cut for taking the dive.
Got it. Okay.
But can't you just drive slower?
Yeah. Also,
I don't know anything about racing. I'm not a racing guy. I don't watch NASCAR. I don't do any of that shit. But can't you just drive shittier instead of cutting some fuel line that might cause your car to explode?
I think the idea was like to make the car fail so he could say like it wasn't his fault. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of is because if you just were to drive slower, I feel like people would be like, he's driving slower.
Yeah. I'm not a mechanic, but I've owned a few cars that I have not had to hit the engine with a hammer and it still broke down and didn't explode. So I feel like there are other ways maybe to make a car stop working other than blowing yourself up.
To be fair, I don't think he planned on getting like thrown into the air.
Sure.
Into the fence.
Well, and if you're gonna like trigger your car, right? Like if you're gonna cause your car to fail, let's not talk about the misfiring happening before you actually do what's going to cause the misfiring of your car to your son, who's probably going to figure it out at some point. And then I love that this guy's grown up around cars. He's teaching his son at later on in life. You know, his 2-year-old knows the difference between wrenches and ratchet sets and socket sets, but he couldn't figure out. He had to wait until he was in prison for 2 random guys that later become part of his crew and then disappear to tell him that that's what happened to this car. Like, what a dumb way for him to figure that shit out. Like,
yeah,
I don't
also,
get it.
Prison looks awesome.
No shit.
You can just work on classic cars like that.
Yeah.
Dope. What use does
tools?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. He's in prison for a violent crime. In fact, killing someone with a tool.
Didn't actually kill him. That was that's the tie-in to the first movie that they use that to say he beat a guy within an inch of his life with a wrench. They tie that to the first movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But he didn't kill him. He just beat the fuck out of him.
He's in prison for a violent crime.
Yeah, exactly.
With tools.
Still an assault with a deadly weapon.
Gives him access to the weapon that he used.
Yep.
Also, I'm not sure I understand self-defense laws well enough to chime in on this, but like the guy did punch Dom first.
Yeah.
He did come to their shop, cause trouble, and then he punched Dom, and then Dom hit him with a wrench. Okay, yeah, I hear it now. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how he didn't kill him. With the amount of times you hear him hitting him, I'm like, yikes. Anyway.
Okay, so what's next after that? Also, can I just note, each flashback is worse than the last.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You get to a point when Dom's like 7 and Jacob is like 4.
Yeah.
That one where he's just like, if you take care of this car, it's immortal. It'll run forever, just like a family. I'm like, nope, that's not how.
Not how cars work.
It's not how cars or families work. Jesus, dude.
Yeah, this movie's so bad. Well, and then it's just like chasing down. It's odd because then it's become, well, we got to find the other half of Ares, right? This weird green, looks like a dog toy that they put some weird screens in the middle of. And then you have the key that nobody knows where it's at. That turns out to be a little Japanese girl.
Which she just has to touch it.
Yeah. Of course, they get really kind of liberal with their biometrics use in this movie.
Oh my gosh. You can't just say the word biometrics and then just be like, all right, anything from here on out is good.
Here, this is a gun that Jacob used. We can now track him anywhere in the city.
Seriously.
And the only explanation we have for that is literally the word biometrics.
Well, and I love that her explanation, Ramsey's explanation is, well, if we put a tracking chip, you might find it in some shitty little jacket on some random person. With biometrics, there's no way to hide your biometrics. Yeah, but you're not explaining how you're actually tracking those biometrics either.
What?
Like,
are you like sniffing out his pheromones? Like, what is happening here? What exactly are you tracking?
It's his hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Hair gel. Like the oh my gosh, what's that movie with oh shit, I can't even remember the actors. Never mind, I'll come back to it. Dapper Dan, Dapper Dan hair gel. No, oh my gosh,
it's gone.
Hold on, this is important.
While you're looking that up, I will say this, like most movies you watch, I feel like they put a little effort into explaining the technological backside.
Yeah.
This one, I literally felt like they just Googled tech buzzwords and just threw a couple in. Like it was that bad.
Yeah, it was like drilling into a network with a diamond-studded drill bad. It had about as much explanation.
I would have liked to have seen that more than the way that the shit that they used in this.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I thought that plot was the worst plot I'd seen in a long time, but F9, hold my beer.
What plot? Like,
what does it say? The worst part about it is at least the hitman's wife's bodyguard, like, admitted to you that this is fucking ridiculous. None of this shit makes sense, and we're okay with that. This movie actually tries to make itself seem smart. Like,
yeah, what did this weapon do? It uploaded. So they had to launch a satellite. The bad guy had to launch a satellite into space and then uplink
it with this fucking dome, this dog toy.
And then
it spread to the rest of the satellites and every other piece of technology on the planet.
Yeah, it was supposed to do it all and give the person with Ares control. So they were like saying, oh, well, within a matter of time, it will be into the systems of like nukes and weapons that we don't know about. And that person will have control over it.
Oh, that reminded me of my favorite piece of exposition in any movie ever, is when poor Cipher, who is just like this secondary character. You have Charlize Theron, who looks like a 14-year-old boy from the 90s with a bowl cut.
What was that haircut? Charlize Theron is a gorgeous,
and don't get me wrong,
woman. She
still looked very attractive with that shitty bowl cut.
Somehow. But like, why?
All I could think about was my 1999 senior picture with my bowl cut
Please tell me you have a copy of that.
I do, actually.
Can I have it?
Hell no. But
come on, jockstrap.
Fuck off. But yes, like that was, I literally was like, what the hell's going on? So she's trapped in this weird prison cell, which looked really cool at first and very worthy of Cipher, with like these red laser walls and then this glass box in the middle of nowhere. But then they never turned the laser walls back on. They just
so she's just in a plastic fishbowl.
Yeah, she's just in a bowl there, and like still has some of the best lines in this movie. But they use her as this like stupid exposition point where she's telling this guy, you're looking for technology that shouldn't have been invented for another 50 years. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Seems like pretty reasonable tech to me, but whatever.
JJ, I thought you were going somewhere else with this, but I really want to get your take on F9's use of Star Wars.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, I thought that's where you're
so
going
offended.
to.
I've tried to release
disrespectful to Star Wars.
Seriously, look, he said that shit. What fucking give me an X-Wing. And I'm like, okay, that's funny because it's a reference to Star Wars and he's never going to get it. He can't, they don't exist, right?
Chewbacca if he's available.
Yeah, but then he calls himself Luke Skywalker. I'm like,
fucking Luke
fuck
Skywalker.
you. And then he calls himself Han Solo. And I'm like, fuck you even more. And by the time he was done, okay, that line was funny shit and far more menacing than it should have been. She's like, you're Yoda. And he's like, yeah, he was a powerful Jedi. No, he's a puppet with a hand up his ass. I was like, yeah, that's funny shit. But yeah, don't fucking the longest running Star Wars joke, and you're not worthy of making fun of Star Wars. You need to make a good movie to be able to make fun of Star Wars, and you failed epically. I'd watch the prequels any time of day before I watch this hot garbage again. They're Oscar worthy. Yeah, they're Oscar worthy fucking acting compared to
that was going to be garbage. My joke. I'm like, man, I'd watch Star Wars.
Exactly. Fucking bullshit. I was pissed. I don't talk in theaters as much as possible, but I out loud was like, oh, that's offensive.
I was trying not to talk. I was talking to Ian the whole time, and I was trying not to. But I mean, honestly, we had a group of like 20 teenagers, apparently literally jerking each other off. So that
shit was great.
I could have been as loud as I wanted, and I don't think it would have mattered.
No, by far that was the best line in this whole movie. Was the lady that was sitting next to these poor teenagers, or the poor lady that was sitting next to these asshole teenagers. Middle of the movie, just goes, "Will you stop talking about jerking each other off and shut the fuck up?" I lost my shit.
I clapped. I literally clapped. I was like, amazing.
It was so funny.
She was the best hero in this movie by far.
Oh,
She's the hero we needed, not the one we deserved.
Fuck.
Yeah, shout out to her.
More people should be like her. You know, this movie sucked balls, guys. Oh,
it was bad.
I need to bring up the magnets again because at some point they're in this facility and you find out in some, I guess, supposed to be shocking reveal that Jacob used to work for Mr. Nobody and he's the rogue agent. Anyway, they're in this facility and the magnets are up on the wall. They give you a demonstration of this wall of magnets, right? Ramsey and Tej are messing with Roman and he's eating and they turn the magnet on and all she does is she closes two laptops, gently puts her hands on the laptops, and every other laptop and piece of metal in this room gets sucked into this thing. But because she's got her hands gently on these laptops, they don't move.
That's how magnetism works.
That's how super magnets work, is your hands can just keep that shit from going.
So to fast forward from that scene to when they're in like the rafters, like the catwalk, I don't have anything more to say than the absolute like Herculean strength that Dom has is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Like he is, I don't know where this is coming from, but he fights 50 dudes by himself. He's like throwing them off the catwalk, snapping their backs, like kicking people through metal. And at one point he stops all of them in like a rugby scrum match. And then somehow they start just kicking him on the ground. Does no damage to him. There's like 20 dudes just steel boot kicking him.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there looking at Letty through the window.
He's fine. And then when he gets tired of that, he reaches up, grabs some chains, and obviously pulls the catwalks out of the ceiling. And then they fall.
I mean, like he pulled the whole fucking roof down. Like
it was like cement. It
concrete and rock and chain. And the chains were bigger than his arms.
Yeah. So these things can literally support his weight and the weight of 50 dudes.
But he pulls him down like it was nothing.
He just pulls it. So apparently he has lat pull down strength equal to the weight of 50 men. No, more than. So good for him.
Well, I mean, this is the same guy that was in a fight where people were getting like tossed through brick walls and house walls and with their heads and shit, and they're just fine.
Like the dude who rips through a billboard. Like I thought he was gonna get splattered. Right?
And he's just standing there. I'm good.
I'm like, all right, to be fair, I wasn't expecting that. That was new.
It was
or
something.
Jacob punches through a wall and hits Vin Diesel. I cracked up. I'm like, that wasn't even cool. That was just hilarious.
Yeah. So
and then doesn't he carry through Dominic's head, like takes out the top of the door frame?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And it's just this Vin Diesel shaped hole in the ceiling in the frame. So fucking dumb. So dumb.
We talk about the landing on cars.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Because that was
Letty who gets launched like 30 feet in the air
off a motorcycle
going
lands 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Quote unquote.
Gets hit by a car midair and then flies rolling. And all Vin Diesel has to do is turn the car a little bit, and she lands on the hood and just looks at him like, "Thanks for the catch."
I mean, what would have happened if she hit the ground? Would she have died? Is that the idea that we're getting at? Like,
no, she would have got dirty, but I think she just would have not gotten off the island.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's like 2 or 3 times like that shit happens. Like one of them like lands on a fucking tank and is just fine. Okay, so let's go to this last scene because there's just a bunch of fucking ridiculousness that happens through this movie. Let's go to this last scene, which we've all seen in the trailer. This giant ass fucking tank thing with like 4 segments flips over. We knew that was going to happen. It's in the trailer. But how this happens is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I'm okay with people getting caught by the hoods of cars and they're okay. Blasted through door frames with their heads, they're fine. But you have 2 sports cars that have magnets in them that have magnetized the front of this thing and are using their brakes to flip what looks like a 3 or 4 ton fucking vehicle.
Yeah. Something that they literally threw dozens of cars in front of. And
Doesn't do shit to it, but you can flip it with brakes and a magnet.
I don't know what was worse, the brakes and flipping it or how long that continued to move on its because it was magnetized.
Yeah, and it was downhill and magnet. Yeah, not to mention the fact that Dom uses explosions to turn it as it's going down the hill, and then
land
flip it so that he can drive it again.
And then drove away on it,
and then use the missile strikes to flip it again and take out the jet.
Like then I can't. Like, I just can't. Like, maybe I'd be more okay with this if Vin Diesel was like, or Dom's character was like a smart person. Right? And he's like, okay, I'm calculating this. If I use this much C4, I should be able to, it should do this many rotations and I should be good. And no, he's a fucking mechanic. Right? Like, this dude is a moron.
He's not even that, dude. He's a car guy that used to steal electronics out of the back of fucking semi trucks with his friends.
Oh, like, we were going to talk about Japan. JJ.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Japan too. I was like, we haven't talked about Japan / Little Mexico yet.
Oh my gosh.
So first of all, Han comes back in the dumbest story ever. So they retcon a retcon in order to bring Han back to life. So Han dies in the end of Tokyo Drift. Flips his car, it explodes. They retcon that shit to make it so that it was Jason Statham's character that killed Han because they killed his brother. Now it was a whole fake death by Mr. Nobody to keep Han alive in order to protect the girl that is the key to this fucking dog toy piece of tech. I'm like, how many times can you retcon a retcon just to bring a character back? And I love Han. He was one of my favorite characters throughout all the movies, but the man is dead. And he doesn't even do anything in this movie that makes it worth retconning a retcon to bring him back.
No. And Ian pointed out, like, he's in a sniper post when you first see him, like, not in a good position. Because they're in that apartment building, and that's what he should be looking at to help if he just got really lucky that Letty fucking Superman kneed that dude through a window.
Unreal.
That fight scene was cool, though. I'll give him that. That was probably my
Sure.
favorite fight scene.
Yeah. Well, they're setting up the next spinoff, which is an all-female spinoff.
Honestly, the women were the only good parts of this movie, so I'm okay with that.
It's
Maybe
fair.
they could like so like Charlize Theron comes back
Without the bowl cut.
without the bowl cut.
Please bring back the dreadlocks that she
Yeah.
had in the last one.
Yes, can I make some requests? Buzz cut from Mad Max, that worked for me too.
That works too. Yeah. Just not the 90s bowl
Just
cut.
choose one, no in betweens.
Yeah. No bowl cuts. And I actually like the little Asian girl, Elle, that they bring in. That's the key. Like, she was fun to watch. And
Dude, when she gets up on that 50 cal, just racks it. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. And I love that she was burst firing it. She wasn't just, going off with it.
Like,
yeah, I liked
also,
it.
like, aim at the tires.
Yeah.
Like, she's like shooting at an armor plated truck. I'm like, just aim a little, like, anyway.
Anyway.
That was
So, yeah.
my concerns.
Find his Mexico in an apartment in Japan, and they just happen to have a bowl of ramen at the right corner in all of Japan to see the Mexican flag.
Right. So all of Tokyo. Tokyo is a huge fucking city, right? It's like one of the top 10 biggest cities in the world. They just happen to have Robin next to his apartment where he hung a Mexican flag because, and I quote, Japan was like his little Mexico.
And the reason for that line is because at the end of 4 or 5, they all went to, like, they were going to go disappear on a Mexican beach somewhere. That was Dom's thing. That's where it came from.
Quasi explain it where it's like,
but it's fucking dumb.
Yeah, because the way they explain it is just like criminals would flee the United States into Mexico, I flee into Japan. So it's kind of like Mexico in that sense.
Which is funny because they're both extradition countries.
Yeah. At that point, I turn over to Ian and I'm like, I'm not sure why, but I'm a little offended.
And finally, let's wrap up on this and then we'll rate this fucking movie. So they bring back the kid from Tokyo Drift.
Sean
right?
and Twinkie.
Sean and Twinkie, and then this other kid. And I'm like, okay, so you took a character in a movie that was a pretty serious movie. Tokyo Drift was a pretty serious movie with serious characters.
No, it was not well made either.
No, it was terrible.
But it was serious.
But they made it serious, right? These characters are a joke. Like making rocket engines, strapping them to a Fiero so that we can go to space in a Fast and
I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet.
Right?
They launched them into space.
In a Fiero.
In a not like a nice Fiero.
No. Well, then he talks about the fact that he wrapped it in some sort of ceramic protective cover so that they could be in space. And then they're in like Halloween costumes of like World War II divers, but they're
disrespectful to NASA.
Seriously,
and the effort it takes to get into space.
And they're just wrapped in duct tape.
They literally, I can't even, they strap a rocket to a Fiero and then strap that rocket Fiero to an airplane. And then they fly the airplane really, really high, launch the Fiero, barely missing their tail fin.
And how did Sean learn how to fly a plane?
Yeah, that was my big question.
The guy's a drift driver. How did he learn to fly a fucking C-130?
What was Roman driving? He's like behind the steering wheel of this Fiero in space.
Well, and I love that they were talking about in space, he's got to drive into this fucking satellite to shut it down now, right? They're using thrusters, which is how you would go. And I was like, oh, they're actually using thrusters, air thrusters, because you can't ignite fire in space. There's no oxygen.
Oh, but you can, so long as it's
strapped to a Fiero and it's a rocket.
To a Fiero, yeah.
Because they sure light that fucker up when they go run into and then it obliterates this satellite. I'm like, oh my God, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. And then it's some Japanese space station floats around and sees them, and they're like, are we really looking at a Fiero in space?
That was some real Elon Musk.
They look like minions. That might have been my favorite line.
Fucking hell. So dumb.
They went to space in this movie.
Yeah.
In a car.
In a Fiero with a rocket strapped to it that had exploded in the middle of this movie, but didn't look like it had exploded at all.
I feel like we can make a whole movie about how these guys got home, because they were just like home for
that probably would have been a better movie than the one we watched,
because they have to survive in their car Then they have to convince these people to let them in to this little space station. And then when you get home, they're not going to just send you home, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, what are they going to do? Send a rocket up just to pick your ass up?
Exactly.
So stupid.
If I'm a Japanese space station, a couple of Americans get on there, I'm like, fuck you guys. You can figure out how to get home. You figure out how to get up here.
I only got enough rations to last me as long as I'm supposed to be on this space station. You
exactly.
Can go fuck yourself.
You're the one who launched yourself into space in a freaking Fiero. Yeah. You didn't think this through, did you?
So then we end with them they're rebuilding the house from the first movie that got blown up in like the 5th movie.
I forgot.
So they're not in hiding anymore.
They're not in hiding anymore. And
don't know why.
Brian, these kids have been with Brian, right? But his kid's back at the house. Why isn't Brian there? So did they go pick up his kid, come to the house, left Brian somewhere, and then acted like they didn't know he was coming? Like, where the hell's Brian? Oh, he's on his way.
Yeah, no, Brian went out to grab the chips.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
he had to run. He had to go get the beer.
Yeah, he was making a beer run. Yeah.
BEERUN, beer run.
That was totally lost on me because I thought they were going to bring Jacob and have him sit at the table.
That's what I thought for a second. And then I saw that's Brian's car. That's like,
I was like, his Nissan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which,
GT.
What was Jacob's motivation in this entire movie? Because they just kind of like destroy his plans and he's like, okay, cool. They what's the word? Like betrayed me. I'm on your team. It's all good. Like I'm not.
Charlize Theron's like, you tried so hard to be faster and stronger than Dom. And I'm like, really? Like you're willing to end the world because you're pissed at your older brother because you killed your dad? And he got mad. Like, what kind of Kim Kardashian reality bullshit is this?
I like that one.
This movie's fucking terrible. It's terrible, guys. But yeah, that's how we end this movie with and then they're gonna have a 2-year-old say grace.
I think your dad has a question for you. Do you want to say grace?
Just say what's in your heart. He's fucking 2. You know what's in his heart? Fucking toys.
Yeah, Dino Nuggets.
Exactly. Say what's in your heart.
Do that part when Vin Diesel gets the chair and he's like, he's going to say grace. He's like, now hold on a second. I'm like, no more holding on. This movie is too long, too shitty. We're done.
Yeah, stop. 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Stop.
Of bullshit.
No more holding on.
Well, it's when they cut to the house and it shows that, and they're getting ready to have their barbecue. First of all, you have to have the barbecue because every one of these movies ends on a fucking barbecue.
Because they're a family.
Yeah. The second piece is I literally out loud was like, oh my God, it's still going.
I know. I heard you.
It's terrible. So fucking. And everybody's back from space and everybody's healthy and safe and they're invincible. It's a video game. They just need to lean into it and let it go. Just have fun with it because then we can all stop trying to take your movie seriously. And I get it. Good on you. Vin Diesel produces these movies. Half these people are just there to have a good time and make a paycheck. I respect that. But stop trying to make a serious movie out of it.
It's infuriating to me. Take this seriously, please.
Or don't, or make a hitman's wife's
make a good movie or make a purposefully shitty movie.
Yeah.
Pick a lane. Don't accidentally don't take it seriously and accidentally make a shitty movie.
Yeah. And we have at least one more of these movies and 2 spin-offs. They're making a Hobbs and Shaw sequel and they're making the all-female spin-off.
Honestly, like I much prefer watching Jason Statham and The Rock on screen than whatever.
Their chemistry is fantastic. And that's what I was saying in the spoiler-free. I don't know if it's because they got rid of all the actors that actually have chemistry and are actually fun to watch. Because this movie was not fun. I mean, even Tej and Roman, who usually have some funny lines, weren't funny.
No.
Anyway, let's rate this movie. Javier, kick us off, buddy.
I don't even so here's the thing. I gave In the Heights like a 2, right?
Yeah.
And I said, for a musical, this is bad. It's a bad movie. For an action movie, this is bad. And I can't give it a 2. Right? Like somehow this is worse than In the Heights. And I don't like musicals. And it was a shitty musical. Right. So, and it was worse than that. They had, this is my genre.
It's true.
Okay. I am going to give this honestly, I think a 1 is too high. Is it too high? I can't think of any good thing. I'm going to give this a 0.5. Like,
wow.
I can't think of anything worth, like, it's not a 0, right? Like, it's,
no,
it's
like, not She Dies Tomorrow.
No, but it was boring. It
Yeah,
was
it was.
legitimately boring. The dialogue was bad. Even the soundtrack was like mumble rapping.
Which usually they have good soundtracks for these movies, and they did not. With this one.
No. Mumble rappers weirdly placed like throughout the movie. There's nothing like the effects were stupid. Like the acting was bad. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't give this anything good. I'm giving this 0.5. I'm going to pretend like this movie doesn't exist. I'm not going to watch this movie again. I'm not. If anyone even hints towards watching it, you are no longer my friend. Like I will disown my family if they mention this movie. Like this movie is dead to me. And I can't wait. I want to hop on YouTube to that guy who lit us up on Instagram and see what he says, because this movie seems like it'd be up his alley because he loves shitty movies.
I did hop on Instagram last night when I got home, and there's a lot of people giving this good star rating, saying it's a fun movie, and I'm like,
what is wrong with you people? I don't mean to be offensive, but you all need Jesus. Anyway, I'm not watching this again. Mm-mm.
Yeah. All right, Ian.
Man, I don't know. I thought I was sitting kind of comfortable with my rating, and then Javier went to 0.5, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It was.
Tell me one good thing about this, Ian. One good thing.
No, what I'm saying is you're right.
Please tell me. I've invested like 3.5 hours into this movie at this point. Please tell me one good thing.
I forgot I haven't asked, though. I do want to ask Javier what you would rather do than watch this movie again.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I already said I'd rather watch Star Wars.
Any Marvel movie, any Star Wars movie.
Honestly, I have been, as much shit as I give Marvel, I am man enough to say that they are better than this movie. Like, pick any Marvel movie, I will watch that over this movie.
I think that's the best thing this movie has done, is get you to admit that to JJ.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not worse than F9.
All right. Yeah, no, it's terrible. It blows like the rocket that Sean and Twinkie tried to race the Jeep plane with. There's just so much chaotic mess. How did they get this past the decision phase? I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to say 0.5 as well, because I was thinking 1, and then like Javier said, this is my genre. I was like, yeah, even for like an action movie, this is terrible. So I would watch White House Down. Definitely, like multiple times.
White House Down is an awesome movie. That reminds me, I should go watch that again. It's been a second.
Yeah, never gonna watch again. I'm disappointed I watched it a first time, so we'll pass it off to you, JJ.
Yeah, this movie blows ass, guys. It was bad, and I want it. Like I just want to go. Like I go to these movies to have mindless fun. It's not even that. Like it's so bad that it confused me that I was thinking during this movie. I shouldn't go to a Fast and Furious movie and think. I should just go and go, fuck, shit's blowing up. This shit's funny. People are fighting. People are doing stupid shit. I don't have to think about anything. And I thought more about this movie than I did probably any movie we've watched in the last little while, because it was so confusing and bad. I normally have a shit ton of things to say during these reviews and these like extensions where I'm giving my rating, and I just don't have anything other than this movie sucked. It disappointed me. It made me upset. Like, it frustrated me coming out of it. I can't give it a 0.5 because that's what I gave She Dies Tomorrow. And while they're on the similar level, I still think the entertainment value, as shitty and lack of entertainment as it was,
so you should have given She Dies Tomorrow 0. Should have followed.
I should have.
Ian and I should
have.
That's the ground floor for us.
I know. It's there, but I can't. It's not quite that bad, so I have to give it a 1. But fuck, it's terrible. Don't watch this movie. I won't watch it again. It doesn't. I'm with Javier. It doesn't exist in my world anymore. Fast and Furious stopped at 8. Even as bad as that one was, it was still entertaining. This was not even remotely.
I would be more forgiving if it was entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it was cool to watch, if it was funny.
Yeah. Well, and it does suffer following last week's movie, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, because it was entertaining as fuck. It wasn't a good movie, but it was fun. And that's all I'm looking for. I want to have fun, and I did not have fun at all.
Especially with action movies like this.
Yeah.
They don't even have to be John Wick cool. Right? No. They just have to be fun.
Yeah.
Was not fun. How do you fuck that up?
I don't know.
After like 10 movies, how do you?
Yeah, seriously, you're on number 9 and you haven't even figured your own formula out. Like, you fucked up on your formula that works, and it didn't work. It was bad. Terrible.
This movie's so bad, I feel like I'm coming away depressed from doing a review on it.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with my life now that
I'm gonna go do some more housework because I'm actually sad that it's so bad.
I'm gonna have to face my maker one day and like give a reconciliation of the time that I spent here on this earth, and this is gonna come up.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm gonna say.
That we've now spent 4 hours on this movie, and it's not worth.
I deserve eternal damnation for spending time on this.
It's bad. Yeah. So next week, the Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt. Okay. Well, go check us out on social media at What's Our Verdict at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Go to our website, whatsourverdict.com. Reach out to us through email, hosts at whatsourverdict.com. We'd love to hear from you. We want to know what you think. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye-bye now.
Cinemagic out.